Right now, as this plays, roughly 150 million Americans are making monthly payments on a car. The average payment on a new vehicle is just under $750 a month. 1 in 5 of those loans stretches past 7 years. And the car itself, the thing all that money is buying, will lose more than half its value before the loan is paid off. This isn't a warning about buying luxury. This is a warning about buying normal. The most destructive recurring expense in most household budgets isn't the mortgage, isn't the streaming subscriptions, isn't the dining out. It's the car payment. And today we're going to take it apart. Most channels will tell you to buy used and save the difference. That's fine advice, it's also incomplete because it skips the part that actually matters. I'm Warren, and I think the car payment conversation in personal finance is broken. Here's why. A guy named Marcus, 28, IT support in Dallas, earning about $55,000 a year, walked into a Toyota dealership on a Saturday in March. He needed a car. His old Corolla had hit 160,000 miles and the transmission was slipping. The dealership had a Tacoma on the lot. Sticker, about $42,000. The salesperson ran his credit, offered financing at 7.5% over 72 months. Monthly payment, just under $750. Marcus looked at his paycheck, about $3,600 after taxes, twice a month. $750 felt tight but doable. He signed. And in that moment, without knowing it, he locked roughly $270,000 of his future into a depreciating machine. That number sounds impossible. It isn't. And the math behind it is the reason this video exists. Here's the first layer. The sticker price of the truck is $42,000. But at 7.5% interest over 6 years, the total paid comes to about $54,000. $12,000 in interest, money that buys nothing, builds nothing, just evaporates into the financing structure. Marcus won't feel that $12,000. It's invisible, baked into the monthly payment, spread thin enough that no single month feels like a crisis. But it's there. $12,000 gone before the truck is paid off. Now here's the second layer, and this is the one the dealership never mentions. Depreciation. A new vehicle loses roughly 20 to 25% of its value in the first year alone. By year 3, it's lost about 40%. By the time Marcus finishes paying off the Tacoma in 6 years, the truck that cost $42,000 on the lot will be worth somewhere around $17,000 on the resale market. He paid $54,000 total. The truck is worth $17,000. The gap between what he paid and what he owns? $37,000. That's the real cost of the vehicle, not the sticker, not the monthly payment, but the delta between total outflow and residual value. $37,000 to have a truck for 6 years. There's a specific moment in Marcus's story that illustrates this perfectly. 14 months into the loan, he takes the Tacoma through a Jiffy Lube for an oil change. While he's waiting in the plastic chair, scrolling his phone, he gets curious and pulls up Kelley Blue Book. Types in the year, the mileage, the trim, trade-in value, about $31,000. He still owes $36,000 on the loan. The truck has already lost more than $10,000 in value, and he's still $5,000 underwater. 14 months in, sitting in a plastic chair at an oil change shop. That's the moment depreciation stops being an abstract concept and becomes a feeling, a quiet, sinking realization that the thing he's paying $750 a month for is worth less today than what he owes on it. Marcus, at his desk on a Monday morning, coffee from the break room, Outlook loading, doesn't think about this number. Nobody does. The truck starts, the truck runs, the payment clears. It feels like a cost of doing business, a line item in adulthood. But here's where it connects to everything we've talked about on this channel, and it's worth slowing down for this one. $750 a month invested in an index fund earning an average of 7% annual return over those same 6 years becomes roughly $66,000. Not $54,000, which is what he paid for the truck. $66,000, which is what the money would have become if it had gone somewhere that compounds instead of somewhere that depreciates. The difference between the two paths, $66,000 in growth versus $17,000 in residual value. That's a $49,000 swing on a $55,000 salary in 6 years. That's almost a full year of income, evaporated into a machine that's parked in a lot 8 hours a day. But the math gets worse because most people don't stop at one car loan. They finish the 6 years, trade in the Tacoma, and finance the next vehicle. And the next one, and the next one. Here's the number that should genuinely disturb anyone watching this. $750 a month invested consistently from age 28 to age 58, 30 years, and then at average market returns becomes roughly $915,000. Almost $1 million. That's what a single car payment, redirected, compounds into over a career. That isn't a hypothetical. That's arithmetic. And it's the number that nobody in the auto industry has any incentive to surface, because the moment someone sees it, the sale is over. Marcus doesn't know this number. Almost nobody does. The dealership doesn't run this calculation. The lender doesn't mention it. The monthly payment is the only number anyone in the transaction wants to talk about, because the monthly payment is the number that makes the sale possible. The total cost, the depreciation curve, the opportunity cost, those numbers kill the sale. So they stay hidden. Not by conspiracy, by incentive. The system is built to surface the smallest number and bury the largest one. And now here's the part that turns the car payment from an expense into a trap. And this is where Marcus's story gets worse. Negative equity. After 3 years of payments on the Tacoma, Marcus owes about $24,000 on the loan. The truck, after 3 years of depreciation, is worth about $22,000. He's roughly underwater by $2,000. If he wanted to sell the truck tomorrow, he'd have to write a check for the difference just to clear the title. He can't walk away. He's locked in. But here's the detail that turns this from one person's problem into a systemic one. Almost a third of people trading in a vehicle roll negative equity into the next loan. The average amount rolled over, about $7,000. Think about what that means. The next car, before it depreciates a single dollar, already has $7,000 of phantom debt attached to it. Debt from the previous car that never got paid off, just transferred. The new loan starts underwater on day one. The new car starts depreciating on day one. And the cycle continues. Each trade-in slightly more expensive than the last, each loan slightly more upside down, each monthly payment carrying invisible weight from a car the person no longer owns. This is how the car trap becomes permanent. Not through a single bad decision, but through a chain of individually reasonable ones that compound in the wrong direction. Same principle as the treadmill from yesterday's video. Same gears, different machine. There's a specific irony to the way this plays out at the dealership. The trade-in process is presented as a benefit, as if the old car is worth something. But for a third of buyers, the trade-in is actually adding cost to the new loan. The dealership knows this. The finance office knows this. The buyer looking at the monthly payment on the new vehicle often doesn't, because the rolled negative equity is absorbed into the number, invisible, unmarked. The monthly payment looks like it's for the new car. Part of it is still paying for the old one. And this needs to be said directly, because the polite version doesn't cut it. The auto lending system isn't broken. It's optimized for the lender. 7.5% on $42,000 over 6 years generates $12,000 in interest. Multiply that by the roughly 17 million new car loans originated every quarter, and the industry collects tens of billions a year in interest alone. Before fees, before add-ons, before the gap insurance and extended warranty that get rolled into the financing at the last minute. The person sitting at the dealership desk on a Saturday afternoon is the product. The monthly payment is the packaging. And the entire experience, the test drive, the negotiation, the trade-in appraisal, is designed to keep attention on the monthly number and away from the total cut. Marcus realized this 8 months into the loan. Not from a finance video, from his own spreadsheet. He'd started tracking his net worth after watching, and this is the part that connects this whole series together, the $10,000 threshold video. He opened a Google Sheet on a Sunday night, listed every asset and liability, and the truck appeared on both sides of the ledger. Asset, about $29,000 in estimated value. Liability, roughly $38,000 on the loan. Negative equity, $9,000. His entire net worth at 28 was being dragged underwater by one purchase he'd made in 45 minutes on a Saturday. He sat with that spreadsheet for a long time. The screen was bright in a dark apartment. He'd spent years building savings to almost $12,000 just past the threshold, and a single car purchase had undone most of it in net terms. Not because the truck broke, because the asset was depreciating faster than the debt was being paid down. The structure was working against him by design, and he'd signed the contract that allowed it. Here's the alternative. And it's one path, not a menu. Buy a reliable used vehicle 3 to 5 years old under $15,000 in cash or with a short loan of no more than 3 years. Hondas, Toyotas, Mazdas, these brands hold value specifically because they don't break. A 2021 Civic with 40,000 miles runs about $14,000 to $16,000 depending on the market. It'll go another 150,000 miles without a major repair if maintained. The monthly cost of ownership drops from $750 to something closer to $200 to $300 when you factor in lower insurance, lower registration, and no loan payment or a small one. The difference, roughly $400 to $500 a month, goes into the automated transfer from the protocol we set up in video 1. At $500 a month invested for 30 years, the math is straightforward, just under $600,000. That's the car payment, redirected, turned into wealth. The person who drives the Civic to 200,000 miles and invests the difference retires with $600,000 more than the person who finances a new truck every 6 years. Same commute, same parking lot, same destination, different trajectory by $500,000. Marcus hasn't sold the Tacoma. He's too deep in negative equity to unwind it without taking a loss he can't afford. But he looked at the spreadsheet and asked one question: what can I control right now? The answer was the other side of the ledger. He set up an automated transfer, $200 a month, into a Fidelity index fund, timed to the day after payday. It's not $500. It's what the gap allows after the truck payment clears. And he made himself one promise. When the Tacoma is paid off in 4.5 years, the $750 payment doesn't get redirected to a new truck. It goes to the index fund. All of it. That single decision, if he holds it, is worth roughly $400,000 by the time he's 60. One decision. Made once, on a Monday night, in a dark apartment with a spreadsheet open and the numbers finally visible. If you're making a car payment right now, here's what I'd ask you to do tonight. Open a calculator. Multiply your monthly payment by the number of months left on the loan. That's your total remaining outflow. Then look up your car's current trade-in value, Kelley Blue Book. Takes 2 minutes. Subtract the trade-in from the total outflow. That number is the real cost of your car for the remaining term. Now multiply your monthly payment by the number of years left until you plan to retire, times 12, and compound it at 7%. That's what the money would become if it went somewhere that grows instead of somewhere that shrinks. The gap between those two numbers is the price of the car you actually can't afford. Not because the monthly payment is too high, because the opportunity cost is too high, and nobody at the dealership will ever surface that number. That's why this channel exists. Tomorrow, 10 recurring expenses hiding in most budgets that can be reduced or eliminated tonight. Some of them will take 2 minutes. Others will take a phone call. All of them free up cash flow that feeds the protocol. The architecture doesn't need big moves. It needs small ones, repeated, automated, invisible. And that starts with knowing where the leaks are.